Looking for excitement? Chumba Casino is here. Play anytime, play anywhere. Play on the train, play at the store, play at home, play when you're bored. Play today for your chance to win and get daily bonuses when you log in. So what are you waiting for? Don't delay. Chumba Casino is free to play.
Experience social gameplay like never before. Go to Chumba Casino right now to play hundreds of games, including online slots, bingo, Slingo, and more. Live the Chumba life at ChumbaCasino.com. VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
All right, we're all set for the party. I've trimmed the tree, hung the mistletoe, and paired all those weird-shaped knives and forks with the appropriate cheeses. And I plugged in the Bartesian.
Bartesian?
It's a home cocktail maker that makes over 60 premium cocktails, plus a whole lot of seasonal favorites, too. I just got it for $50 off. So, how about a Cosmopolitan or a mistletoe margarita?
I'm thirsty.
Watch. I just pop in a capsule, choose my strength, and...
Wow, it's beginning to feel more seasonal in here already.
If your holiday party doesn't have a bartender, then you become the bartender. Unless you've got a Bartesian, because Bartesian crafts every cocktail perfectly in as little as 30 seconds. And I just got it for $50 off.
'Tis the season to be jollier.
Add some holiday flavor to every celebration with the sleek, sophisticated home cocktail maker, Bartesian. Get $50 off any cocktail maker at bartesian.com/cocktail. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail.
Welcome back, nerds, comic readers, movie enthusiasts, pop culture lovers all around the world, to another episode of Hops Geek News, your home for comic books, movies, TV shows, and typically we feature a beer of the week. This is going to be a really fun episode, man. As you know, we like to do our creator-focused episodes, and today we have some really great guests. Now, it has been a couple of years, but we have not forgotten these great dudes and their great comic book. So we have Ben Robinson and John Williams with us to talk about Space Oddities. We are going to dive into their comic book here, so make sure you look in the show notes, you follow them, you find out where you can find this comic, where you can follow these guys on all of these 75 social medias that have transpired since we have talked to them last, because it has been a couple years. But one thing that has never changed, Hops Geek News, man, that's where you can find us every week on social media, on your podcasting platform, you know, like, subscribe, share, it's your boy, all that weird stuff that you're supposed to say that makes us feel weird and whatnot. But hey, that's how the podcast grows. We love what we do. We love talking to some really great folks. So without further ado, Lauren, let's dive into this. Gents, welcome back. It has been a minute, but you're looking as good as ever. This comic book is as good as ever. How's everything been? Go ahead and reintroduce yourselves, maybe for everybody who might be new to the show.
I'll go ahead, Ben. I can't see you very well, so I can't take visual cues off
no
you. I'll let you lead.
I'm Ben Robinson. I'm part of the writing duo and the creators of Space Oddities, the book we're going to talk about today. We also have a podcast called Geek Exploration that we neglect. Like, it's been a little slow this year, but it's not dead. It's just in a coma.
Yeah, it's just old. It's moving
Listen,
slowly.
Everything needs a good nap once in a while. You go into hibernation, you come back, and you know, it's like nothing has ever changed.
Yeah, I think that describes it well. I'm John. I'm the other half of the creative team. Like Ben said, we write it together. I draw it. We get it colored. He letters it. We both pull our hair out over it and lose sleep and work real hard. So it's fun when we get to this point where we just get to promote it and put it out there.
Yeah, you would think that's like the easy part, but I mean, a lot of it too, you get to talk about all the hard work and things. So yeah, man, it's currently out there on Kickstarter. So why don't you go ahead and give us your pitch for the comic book, whether it's a couple sentence, whatever it may be, your quick pitch for what this story is about.
Yeah, the pitch that we've always used is it's the love child of Indiana Jones and Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's a science fiction adventure comedy. We've got a MacGuffin. We've got some quirky characters. We've got some heart in there. We've got a journey that they're all taking together. So it's, as is often a trope of some science fiction stories. You know, there is a bit about family as well, and found family versus versus blood. But no, it's a lot of fun and a lot of heart. Hopefully, a lot of adventure. Hopefully, it's funny too. I don't know.
I mean,
Honestly,
you talk
I
about a
found
lot
the-
of
the-
butt stuff, so that's funny right off the bat to me, right there.
Yeah, I felt like the humor actually came first because I was laughing throughout, especially when they found a certain artifact that, that caught me by surprise. I don't want to say what it was because that was a moment for me where I literally laughed aloud, and I want everybody else to have that moment when they get to that part. So how was that balancing the heart with the comedy? Like, do you have like one of you is more comedy and one of you is more heart, or do you kind of both like go both ways? You're both nodding a little bit.
Yeah. John is definitely the heart. I've been accused of not having much of one in real life, so it's hard to put one into comic book. But we're both pretty comedically active, I would say, in the book. Like we kind of subscribe to a why not policy with the jokes. Like if one of us comes up with something really stupid and goofy, and it's like, okay, is there a reason why not to do that? If not, then throw it in there. If it tickles us and we think it's funny, it's a goofy sci-fi world, so like it's not you're not worried about, I don't say consistency, but like the it's not a hard sci-fi Star Trek kind of world where like people need to understand dilithium crystals and stuff. Like you can be a little goofy and silly, and like I don't need to worry about time dilation or anything. It's not that kind of sci-fi.
There's no like time rules that you have to subscribe to and be like, oh crap, did we already do this? And like, oh god, we're gonna get yelled at by so many people.
Yeah, not unless like it won't come up unless there's some funny reason to make.
Well, and thankfully Ben is somebody who pays more attention to that sort of thing anyway, in science fiction in general. Like he likes hard sci-fi, so some people say you got to know the rules to break them, so thankfully, Ben can look out at that and be like, okay, we are making a conscious decision not to worry about this.
It's tough.
You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. And now obviously issues 1 through 3 are out there on Kickstarter right now. You guys have almost a month, about 22 days still to go at the time of this recording. So how have you guys kind of grown? Because, you're both writing, doing art. So what is that process like? How has it evolved over the issues? Have you guys found your footing, found your groove? Have you kind of found like what works better compared to issue 1 when you first began?
Yeah, I mean, we worked on cracking stories early on. There was years and years of development where it just never went anywhere because it originally started as a cartoon proposal or a cartoon pitch, and just over the years we'd come back to it and never really go far with it. Then we finally decided to make a comic book out of it, and I selfishly just sort of ran a bit with it, and thankfully after that initial script, Ben and I we worked out a method where we get together, we hack the story out, and then we go and rewrite our own scripts based on the story beats, and then we come back and then we cherry pick the best from either one. And we may argue a little bit over why one thing versus the other.
Yeah, whose carry needs to be picked. It's not always smooth, but there's a give and take. Be like, all right, this is the hill I want to die on, and that's the one you want to die on. So as long as it's not the same hill, we can work something out.
Yeah,
So
we haven't broken up yet.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. This is our baby.
Well, you're right though. I mean, that is a really good balance because again, we kind of talk about the heart because that while this is a very humor-filled comic, which when you talk about pitching as an animated like cartoon at first, I get Futurama, Rick and Morty kind of vibes.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously, it's very much like adult, like something you would see on Adult Swim right off the bat. Even the way you guys
was hilarious too.
The artwork alone, like it screams like this should be something I'm watching on TV. So it's even much of a pleasure to get to like you don't have to rewind the TV. I can just keep flipping through the pages. But you're right. It's hard to find that balance of the humor, but underneath all of the humor is that there's a very real story. She's trying to find her mom. So what were some of the things that you're like, all right, the hills you have to die on? Like, how did you decipher, all right, to get this story that was very heart-filled buried underneath of all of this?
It was almost kind of accidental because like I said, the original idea was pretty much an early 2000s Adult Swim type serial show, right?
Yeah, Aqua Teen, Space Ghost, Sea Lab,
which I think I can confidently say don't have emotional, any sort of emotional through lines to them. Generally, it's just kind of,
they're funny. Let's laugh. It's mindless. There you go.
Here's a scenario.
The kids are in bed. I take an edible and watch this.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Which just makes your comic book that much more unique, having that undertone.
Yeah. And then as soon as we started writing it, like it organically became Jhett's story. This first arc, it's meant to be like a 6-issue arc. So we're in 3, we're about halfway there. And it just kind of became centered around her as we kind of spitballed ideas and things. And it just made more sense to try and tell an interesting story underneath a bunch of stupid jokes.
So do you think, because that was one of my questions of how far do you intend on taking this? Could you see it going further than 6 issues? Because I feel like, you have a whole galaxy to explore, if not multiple galaxies to explore.
Yeah, the way I've always described this first 6-issue arc is this is basically like our movie. If this is our Raiders of the Lost arc, or this is just what would start it. This is our first, literally the first graphic novel, the first like overarching story. In the end, they will have grown a little bit. They will have grown together, and then they get to with you made the Futurama comparison. Like the main team, even though it's sort of taken a back seat, but it launched the story. They're like antique collectors in space. So there really isn't any limit on the team goes to wherever to find whatever and gets into whatever. You just have to figure out what all the details are to fit in there.
Yeah, no, I think that makes
and for anybody
sense,
listening who's kind of wondering like what antiques are they looking for. So this takes place in the future. So their antiques they're looking for are the ridiculous stuff that we put
the
value on
Bachelorette
today.
season 2 was amazing.
Joshua, I went to go yell at you like you were my husband. Joshua, Matthew.
I'm sorry, I had to. Yes.
Spoilers.
How did you get? All right, so the Bachelorette season 2, of course. I have to ask because my wife and I we love trash television. How did you decide the artifact, for example? Like, did you slip that in like, oh, it's got to be this, or did you come like have a list of things, or how did that become like the antique?
That very much is, like Ben was describing, one of the why nots. I'm pretty sure it was Ben's suggestion. He's just like, oh, how about this? I'm just like, yeah, why not? It's goofy, it's out there, it's fun.
What's the stupidest thing you could think of that people would worship as a religious artifact in the future?
But you're so right, because if you like go on any streaming platform, there's so many. There's like Love Island now. There's Love in the U. There's all these stupid, crazy things. So like the second I saw Bachelorette season 2, I was like, oh yeah, I can perfectly see. And the fact that they're stealing, that's the artifact, like that whole reveal. Oh my God, it was just amazing. I cannot say, like, it got a good laugh out of me.
And I love that you call it trash television, because my wife and I just started watching Love Island again. And that's the thing, we always just say I need some trash TV. Like I need some trash TV in my life right now.
Feel better about your life, especially when you're just like, dude, I'm tired.
You're like, I'm better than these people.
Kind of like for me that my wife and I are like the kids. They're grinding us down, man. It's just adulting. And then you watch a TV show about real adults sitting around talking just the stupidest things. You really feel kind of better about it. It is trash TV. It's mindless. It's brain rot. And so when that reveal happened, I was like, oh yeah, these guys get it right here, because it's just fun. But at the same time, like there is this whole underlying story that Jhett is trying to find her mom. That's kind of what we're thinking. So how did you come up with like, okay, Jhett's story? How did you create these characters? Do you guys kind of gravitate to one character more than the other for you personally? Like one is like, no, I really want to take over this character. You take over this one.
I don't think so. Like, I mean, the whole thing kind of started, it centered around Jorge MacSanchez and Dirk. They're like the main two. Like they were there from the beginning, and then there was kind of like a rotating blob of other characters. We went through a lot of different iterations before we landed on Jhett. I think for a while she was like a sentient hologram, and then it kind of just morphed into what it is now. But Jorge and Dirk are like the lodestones.
Which Dirk could be on Love Island. Let's be honest, he's a pretty boy.
Yeah, like Han and Chewie vibes, because it was like Dirk is more like Han and trying to steal stuff, and Jorge is just a lovable guy who's just,
but he's ready to beat somebody's ass at any moment, as he kind of does.
Yeah, he could rip your arms off at the same time. Yes.
He's a big dude. And with going into the comic realm instead of a cartoon, I didn't actually have to figure out what a Scotsican accent is.
You're like,
Trying
oh,
to
thank
imagine
God.
that, but, like, I need a very talented voice actor to figure that one out.
We just like AI Sean Connery with somebody else and splice them together
Yeah,
because
with
that's what we
Cheech
can do
Marin
these
or
days.
something.
Yeah, right. Like,
It should be like Doctor
I'm
Who,
very
and they just all have
curious.
British accents, no matter what planet they're from.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and like those guys, like we both have we have pretty deep lore and backstories on those guys that like I don't know if it's ever going to, you know, like if any of it's ever actually going to feature in the book. Like some of it, like little bits and pieces will probably come here and there, but like as far as who those guys are and where they came from and what their history is and all that, like we have that all figured out for both of them, which helps in writing them, especially since we both write different scripts. Like we need to be writing the characters consistently, because if we're trying to jam scripts together where we have different ideas of who the characters are, it's going to feel haphazard. But I think we've got a pretty good grip on between the two of us on who these people are and how they think and how they'd act in certain situations.
Yeah, you never would honestly know that you guys write separate scripts and put them together, because the script and it flows, like the plot flows very easily together. Like it just meshes together. So you guys have a really good, you know, symmetry there. And I think it's really interesting that those are the two characters that you guys kind of created first. You got this whole backstory. I think honestly, for me, I want to see like what happens to them. So could you, I know you said you don't know, but is that something you guys are like, oh, you know what, maybe down the road we do maybe like a side quest issue of them doing their thing?
Yeah, that's definitely something that would come after the first arc. That it would be Dirk and Jorge's story, because this one, you know, it just organically became Jhett's story, and I think by necessity, by how we were writing it. But yeah, like I would say that Dirk and Jorge don't have as much growth in this first story than you know, it really is Jhett's journey, and they're right. You know, they're there along with him, but or with her. But yeah, afterwards, I think the next one would be Dirk's story, along with a character who's sort of staying in the background, even though he's shown up in the first two issues. The character of Emperor Beans, who's like a kind of a Dr. Claw in the shadows, pulling some strings, but he's not the main villain in this first arc. But he does have history with Dirk. That would probably be the second story.
Yeah, you guys actually kind of hint at that too, which I liked, because I kind of got that vibe too, where it's like, oh, there's something more here. And I think you guys do a really good job of that. You kind of give breadcrumbs, which are something that it can be hard in stories. Sometimes some people tell too much, sometimes people don't. But what I thought that you guys did really well was, hey, there's more around that kind of gets you like, oh, I'm curious about this person, I'm curious about that person. Does it get kind of hard reeling that back at times, being like, oh, I have to focus? Because for me, I'm scatterbrained, so I'd be like, oh, let's go on this side quest today. Is that kind of hard to like reel in sometimes for you guys, or is it easy?
I mean, it can be to a degree. Like we want to drop stuff. The problem is, you know, the time scale over which we're doing everything. Like we have the first arc plotted out essentially all the way through. But then as we like finish each issue, some of the stuff changes on the back end, you know, because like we come up with, we refine it. I mean, you spend, you know, a year or so working on it, and you get, you know, it's only canon once it's on the page.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So, you know, we'll make some changes and be like, oh, well, actually here's a better idea for what happens later, because it hasn't happened yet. So it's still malleable. And so, you know, you're trying to drop breadcrumbs for something that may change later on a little bit. And so there's been a couple of gags and things that you kind of set up here, and then like things change and you're like, oh, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to pay that off the way I wanted to, but I'll think of something by the time we get
it'll come back around. Yeah. That's clever. That makes sense.
That's one thing that I really love when I'm reading a project, and you know, not to draw too many comparisons to it, but something like Futurama, where you know, a joke from early on pays off way later, and you're like, oh, like they were thinking about this. Yeah, I love stuff like that. I love, you know, Arrested Development, where they're still playing off jokes from the first episode in the last one. You know, so
I'm in the banana stand.
I was just thinking that in my head. Banana stand, yeah.
It also shows like a level of attention and care that you kind of put in. Like, hey, I'm gonna put this here, and it's gonna pay off later. It's it's actually showing there's a lot of thought going into what you're doing that maybe sometimes isn't always a thing for some people. Think they can just create this and just move along, but when you're putting those things out there, it shows that there's a level of care to that, which almost endears you even more to the product.
Yeah, and
Well,
sometimes you can fake it too.
Yeah, and it rewards, I feel like, the true fans, the people who are invested. Like when you hear that at the end and you pick it up and you're like, I've been following, I've been here since the beginning. I get it.
Yeah, that too. And now, obviously, kind of talking about Kickstarter again, I referenced issues 1 through 3 there. You have about a month. I'm 31 days at the time of this, not 22. My bad. But you guys are about halfway almost to your goal. So, what are some things people can look forward to by backing the Kickstarter? What are some of the things that you guys are putting out there for the folks?
So I mean, we've got all the standard stuff, like the comic book. That's the main one. Come for the comic book.
The prize, yes.
Yeah, there's some other stuff there, but we do have options for like a catch-up bundle where you can get all 3 in print if you haven't read any of them. If you want the books in print, you can get them all in digital. We're also offering. Right now, you can go on Drive Through Comics and get issue 1, which is 40 pages for $1. If you want to, check out issue 1 and see if it's
the dollar comic bin, folks.
Yeah, see if it's your thing before backing the project wholesale. Because a lot of the time, Kickstarter's a bit of a leap of faith.
Mm-hmm.
And I can, that's fine. And it's already there. It's done. It's up. So go check it out. And then we've got some of the standard ones we do. You can get like a sketch cover of Space Oddities where you can, get whatever you want, John to draw whatever you want on the cover. We've got custom illustrations from both him and I, which is his is more expensive than mine because he actually has talent. Like I added that into the first one kind of as a joke, like, haha, this will be funny. And then people actually did it.
Took off.
Oh boy. I guess.
Yeah. One of my coworkers loves to get a piece from Ben. She's done it both times.
Oh,
that's amazing. So I love that so much.
Yeah.
Which is fun for me. Like I don't really draw ever. So it was an exciting thing to give it to try.
Just like playing outside the sandbox kind of thing.
Yeah. I at the beginning, what it really was I wanted to contribute something. Like, I help write, and then like John draws it for a few months,
and you're just kind of like, well, I've already done my part.
Like, what I want to be able to do something. I want, I'm a big.
So is there ever a lot of back and forth, or does John kind of just have the idea of you? Do you just know where you're going, and you're both on the same page with how you want it to look?
As far as the art goes,
yeah,
I trust this guy completely. He's an amazing visual storyteller. So like he'll show me the little thumbnails before he gets drawing, and I usually have nothing to say. You're
just like, good job. Keep it up.
If I do, he'll take it into consideration, but he knows what he's doing, and I do not.
Do you guys have any upcoming cons where people could buy comics in person?
Not any. We've got a potential Crocker Con in Sacramento on September. It's first week
in the
of
show
September.
notes, folks. There you go.
2nd or 3rd. It's at the Crocker Art Museum in Sacramento. My buddy puts it on. It's the 10th anniversary, but I got back to him late, so I'm on a little bit of a wait list for it.
Sacramento's a good town too for anybody who's not been out there. I've got a couple friends out there. It's kind of a hidden gem in Northern California, honestly. Like it's really kind of grown a lot, in my opinion. So that'd be pretty rad to kind of go to. And those smaller cons too, in my opinion, if you're not going to like the big name that aren't, Galaxy Con or something, those you often find a lot of really good stuff at those. So I'm hoping people can find you there. Aside from that, are you guys looking to travel at all, or
12th, maybe
September 12th? Okay.
So it's looking like, but that's AI. I don't trust AI.
I believe September 12th. Yeah. That sounds right. It's always right around my birthday, which is mid-September.
There you go. Is that one have you guys done that one in the past, or is this like your first?
Yeah, I didn't do it last year. I had some things pop up, but I've done it every other year besides that.
Yeah, it's a really cool con too, because it's at an art museum, and it's basically all independent creators and local artists.
That's awesome.
So it's all Artist Alley essentially, all the way through.
That's amazing.
An art museum right downtown. It's like
bringing Comic-Con back to its roots. That's really cool.
Yeah.
They got food and music, and they usually do a cosplay contest and all kinds of it's a good time. It's a really cool
vibe. That's
the Crocker Art Museum does a series of events like once a month, I think it is, called Art Mix, and each one has like a different theme. So Crocker Con is like the comic book themed one every September, and so it's like half Comic Con, half like art mixer. So
that's really cool.
Yeah, you can get some drinks and some snacks. It's a good way to spend a Thursday evening.
Yeah, no kidding. That sounds like something I'd rather be doing. art and things, and because then it introduces you to like networking and making friends, and then you got to see a lot of cool artwork that you might not normally get to do, which actually brings me up to circling back to the comic, because something you guys do at the end of the first 2 issues was you kind of give a shout out to a lot of people at the end of the first. How did that become a thing? Because you guys have a nice list of like this comic book, like, thanks to, just everybody that kind of played a hand in it. So how does that kind of happen for you guys?
I mean, it was all the people that made it possible that aren't us, essentially. Like, I mean, you go on Kickstarter and, thankfully we live in an age where it's possible to do, where if you have an idea for a comic and you get together and you can just make it and put it out there, and you can find droves of people. I mean, I could use more droves, but like we got over 100 people on the first issue that, on both. Well, I think we got to 99 on the second one. We almost got to 100.
Oh, that's like heartbreaking. Just one away.
But all these people that are willing to, especially on the first issue, it's like they're totally taking a chance on something that they know literally nothing about, other than, we had a few, example pages and a description of what it was going to be, and that was it. And so, those people for forking over some dough to help us, pay a colorist and get actual prints made so you can hold your own comic book in your hand, like, the least we can do is thank them.
Yeah. That's awesome. And anybody who's still questioning it, like, this comic was actually absolutely hilarious. It was a great fun read. I highly recommend it. And I have one very important question before you tell us where everybody can find you. Are you guys Encino Man fans? Was that an Encino Man reference? Ouch, my pancreas.
It may have been subconsciously one, because honestly, I am in that small group of people that loves Encino Man. I love
Encino Man too.
When I was a kid. So just and I'm also a diabetic, so I'm all I'm thinking about my pancreas. But same thing like with that movie. Like, you don't really get hit in the pancreas. You don't feel a pain in your pancreas. So it was a good. Oh wow, I didn't even think about it. I bet it is subconscious that it went to pancreas, but no, I did. We as far as I know, we didn't sit and go, you know what? We need to throw in this Pauly Shore and Encino Man reference right now.
Oh my gosh.
That was anytime I hear "Ow, my pancreas," I hear Pauly Shore.
Yeah. Oh, my pancreas.
It's a whole generation of kids, man. Trust me. Encino Man, Biodome, like, you're missing out.
I need to have
in the army now.
Yeah. I don't know if the oldest has watched it. I mean, we need to watch that one. And then I'll put it on and be like, oh, this is inappropriate. I didn't remember that, because that's how it always happens.
Now, if in issue 4, if Jorge goes to wheeze the juice, that will absolutely be an Encino Man reference. Where they rode the vapor in reverse.
Oh man. So obviously, as we start to wrap up, we'll start with Ben. Where can people find you if they want to know more about things you're doing? I know you guys, your Geek Exploration podcast, but it's coming back. Don't worry, folks. It's going to come back. So where can they find you, Ben? We'll kick it off with you.
I mean, there's, we're on Twitter still.
We're all going down with the shit, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's still there, and there's still great people on there. So
there is.
So I'm still there. But yeah, we're there at Geek Exploration.
Twitter.
Yeah, at Geek Explore Pod is our handle, and then there's also Space Oddities comic on there as well for more Space Oddities related stuff. I'm on Geek Exploration, the podcast, when we put out issues. Both John and I are also frequent contestants, I guess you'd say, on Gate Leapers, which is a pop culture panel show, essentially. It's like a podcast game show put on by some fantastic people. That is super fun. You should go check out. We just did a Futurama episode a couple weeks ago. That was a blast.
Awesome, man. Heck yeah. And John, I know we've already touched on the main socials, but is there anywhere else you would like people to find you? Is there a place they can find your artwork specifically even?
Yeah. Don't laugh. On Instagram, I am Beefy McStudley.
Oh yeah, let's go.
Yeah. It's more ironic than anything these days, but yeah, that's where you can find that's all artwork. I keep it separate from sappy personal stuff. I've got a link for the Kickstarter in there as well, and yeah, we do have a Geek Exploration podcast Instagram as well, but that one is also hibernating.
It's so hard. Listen, man, it's so hard keeping up with life alone, let alone all of the social medias and things like that. And you guys are busy putting out really good comic books, for example. So I hope people take the time to check this Kickstarter out, go back it. It's fun. Like I said, it is a cartoon in comic book form that you just can hear the voices in your head. You're on this adventure. If you're looking for, I say mindless, but I mean it in a way
It's
that like
not
you
mindless
can just,
though. That's the thing. It's
it's mindless without
because
being mindless, but you
right. Some of the jokes are like dirty and funny and mindless humor, but it's not mindless at the same time because there's heart to it and story to it, and it all makes sense. And that's, I think, like the best kind of humor is the stuff that I was laughing at the oh, you're not our regular delivery guy. He's like, well, that was awkward.
His grandma, he's like, again? Gosh, like stuff like that, man. It is, you go into it.
It was clever. It was clever,
yes.
but it's almost like Kevin Smith. It's like, the dick and fart jokes, but they're still clever.
And there's a lot of heart behind it at the same time, and all
Kevin
of it put
Smith
together,
again, a lot of
man.
heart behind it.
Yeah, and we try and keep it PG, like so that kids could read it if they wanted to. Like we don't want to,
right, just go over their head. The dirty stuff would,
It's like every early Disney movie.
Yeah, like that's probably the raciest joke in the book, but it's it's the kind of thing they would, they'd be like, haha, butts, that's funny.
Right. And Jorge had that innocence to him.
He did. He's like, what is butt stuff?
Later.
Yeah,
exactly. It's like what is that movie? Rookie of the Year, where he like hits the doctor in the face and he's like, funky butt loving.
Oh yeah.
He's like, butt loving. That's funny.
That's when I haven't watched it. I was a kid. I probably would get a lot more jokes if I rewatched it.
That's true. It's like,
there will be a subtle background return of butt stuff guy in number 3.
Oh yeah. Can't wait. Again, thank you guys seriously for coming back on, sharing this with us. Cannot wait to continue on in this universe. And hopefully, you know what? Last one got 99, dude. We're going over 100 this time. Help them get over 100, man. We gotta take it. We gotta go higher. We gotta pump those numbers up, rookie. Gonna do it. So we'll be chatting with you guys again soon, man. Once we issue 3, 4. I know the first 6 issues are the first arc. Cannot wait to talk about it again. We will.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Of course. Lauren, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
No, go get this. It was fun. It had heart. I mean, what do you not want from a comic that's just got heart and
comics are fun, man.
Comedy. I love the comics that make me literally laugh aloud, and this did.
Same. It did.
I love that.
We will see everybody else next time. Stay tuned for more great episodes and more creator issues where you can find great comics like Space Oddities and more. Thank you guys for hanging out. Cheers.
The content you are listening to is part of the Nerd Initiative Podcast Network. For more info about the home of pop culture positivity, check out nerdinitiative.com. The content you are listening to is part of the Nerd Initiative Podcast Network. For more info about the home of pop culture positivity, be sure to check out nerdinitiative.com.
Hey, it is Ryan Seacrest. There's something so thrilling about playing Chumba Casino. Maybe it's the simple reminder that with a little luck, anything is possible. ChumbaCasino.com has hundreds of social casino-style games to choose from with new game releases each week. Play for free anytime, anywhere for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. Join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, we're all set for the party. I've trimmed the tree, hung the mistletoe, and paired all those weird-shaped knives and forks with the appropriate cheeses. And I plugged in the Bartesian.
Bartesian?
It's a home cocktail maker that makes over 60 premium cocktails, plus a whole lot of seasonal favorites, too. I just got it for 50 off. So, how about a Cosmopolitan or a mistletoe margarita?
I'm thirsty.
Watch. I just pop in a capsule, choose my strength, and...
Wow, it's beginning to feel more seasonal in here already.
If your holiday party doesn't have a bartender, then you become the bartender. Unless you've got a Bartesian, because Bartesian crafts every cocktail perfectly in as little as 30 seconds. And I just got it for $50 off.
'Tis the season to be jollier.
Add some holiday flavor to every celebration with the sleek, sophisticated home cocktail maker, Bartesian. Get $50 off any cocktail maker at bartesian.com/cocktail. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail.